The video lesson today is going to be about a basic algorithm called bubble sort. Bubble sorting compares, for example, let's make out that we have random numbers, and bubble sorting, this algorithm, what this algorithm does is to compare the first item to the second, and if the first one is greater than the second, it swaps them. Then it compares the second to the third. If the second is greater than the third, it swaps them again, and so on and so forth. So let's make out that we have a list of numbers. So let's create a list. We are going to use Python. So let's create a list. Let's call it list. Okay, so it's a keyword, so we can't use. Let's call it lista. Lista is list in Hungarian. So, and that is equal to, you have to use these square brackets to populate your list with random numbers. So now we have a list. A list is a advanced data type actually in Python. It's a ordered collection of data items, but it can be of different types. So it's an ordered collection of data items, not necessarily with the same type. Okay, so now we have a list. So now let's create a variable called n, and the value of this variable is going to be the length of our list. So we're going to use the len method, and the parameter is going to be our list. Okay, so so in bubble sorting, like I said, it is going to compare the first element with the second, and if the first is greater than the second, it swaps them. Then it compares the second to the third, and if the second is greater than the third, it swaps them, and it swaps them again, and so on and so forth. So we are going to use the bubble sorting algorithm is actually using two for loops. For loops use a variable to use a variable known as the counter or the index to keep track of how many times the loop has been executed, and it stops when the counter reaches a certain number. So, and we are going to use, as I said, two loops. So we have an outer loop and an inner loop. And the inner loop is going to range from the first element to the number of elements minus 1, because the number of comparisons is always equal to the number of items minus 1. Okay, so 1 from the first to 1 less than the number of the items. So if we have 10 items, like in this list, we are going to have 9 comparisons. Okay, so let's use, as I said, first we should write the outer loop. so we're going to use the for keyword. So let's the variable, I prefer to use I, not x, because that's the index. So we are going to use the range built-in. The range built-in takes an integer and returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. So range n yes, that's it. Okay, and now comes the inner loop. So let's call it J range n minus 1. Okay, that's good. So now we are going to use the swap algorithm. So if J is greater than J plus 1, sorry, we need the colon here. So let's say temp. Let's create a variable for holding the value of the first element. So list and now all we have to do is output our list. So print print. Now let's run the code. Okay, so 7, 12, 31, 34, 39, 44, 45, 56, 72, 99. So it's working just fine. Thank you for